Whenever we do an episode of Wonderkid to Superstar here on the channel, we always ask you guys to comment down below which Wonderkid you want to see next in this series. And we got a comment a couple weeks ago of a player that I hadn't really checked out. I went in game, had a look at him, simulated, tested how good he could be, and you guys have found an absolute gem. This player in FM is genuinely like the next Jude Bellingham. That's right, it's one of your suggestions for today's Wonderkid to Superstar episode, a player with great ability right from the off, huge potential, and even though he is quite pricey for reasons that I'll talk about later, he is definitely worth the money when you see him at full growth. He goes on to be one of the world's best players in this simulation, but we'll show you how to take him there, because at first glance he might look like a different position would be best for him, but I'll show you exactly how to get the best out of him. Before we start though, don't forget to like the video if you do enjoy it, and comment down below the players you want us to check out. As you can see from this one, we do definitely use your suggestions, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. With that being said, let's go find this player. And we're heading to Aston Villa in the Premier League. Now, I don't have the English divisions loaded, I don't have England players loaded in my database, but just by having a standard large database ticked with about 12,000 players in it, this player is in the database. So if you go to their team, go by all players, you will find a youngster by the name of Amari Kellyman. Now, there's lots I want to talk about with him, but first let's start with the obvious thing that a lot of you might see, his price of around 25 million. It is a lot of money. This is variable though, depending on where his potential falls in your save, you can get him for a lot cheaper. He also doesn't often get the chance at Aston Villa in your saves, so you might be able to loan him in season 1 or 2, or even if you keep an eye on him after a year or two, he might decide he wants to leave, but of course that's all very much variable depending on what happens in your save. Either way though, we're going to assume you spend 25 million pounds on him in this video, and we'll show you why he is worth that money. His potential range is a 140 to 170, so he is around the same range of a lot of other great Wonderkids, but I think his starting attributes just take him to another level in FM. And speaking of those starting attributes, you can see straight away he's got some decent physical attributes to work with. You can see he's got a lot of pace, agility going for him as well. He is 6'2" here. I don't know whether that's necessarily how he is in every save. Sometimes that can be variable in Football Manager, but it doesn't really mean too much because his jumping reach isn't great, nor is his heading. Outside of that, height doesn't really affect anything in FM. He's got good composure as well, the flair is there, and then the holy trinity of dribbling, finishing and first touch he has got, and he's a decent creator too, with 12 passing, 11 vision and 13 technique. He's a left-footed player who can operate as a number 10, or also naturally as a striker, or even out wide, but in today's video I'm going to move him over to Real Madrid, and I'll show you everything that you can do to get the best out of him, or at least in my opinion, in the game. So we've moved him over to our Real Madrid team. He comes in supposedly as a 1.5 star player with 4.5 star potential. Don't worry about that too much because the star ratings will fluctuate in your save. For you guys, even if you get him on the lowest end of that potential range, 140, 150 region, I definitely still think he'll turn into a very good Premier League player, but at his best, about 160, 170 potential, he is unreal. Now, as you can see, he is now a Real Madrid player, and we're setting him up actually in that number 10 position as a shadow striker. Now, you can definitely use him as an advanced forward. He would suit it quite well, as you can see, but I just think with that passing ability, the creativity he has, the composure, he could be a very good creator in that number 10 role, and that's where we're going to train him today. We're focusing him on the shadow striker, on the attack duty position. Outside of that, we're doing no additional focus, but for you guys, you definitely should do one, and if you were, I wouldn't focus too much on his physicals that are already in a pretty good place. I'd probably work on the mentals, final third potentially, to work on that decision making. If you want to use him as a striker, work on his shooting. If you want to use him as a number 10, maybe you work on his passing. Either way, decide what you want. He's being mentored here as well by Luka Modric and Dani Carvajal to help improve his personality, which starts off at balance, 10 determination, but I'm sure over the course of this save, we will see that change. Now though, he's set up to go. He's going to be playing as often as possible. Let's see how he looks on the lowest end of that potential range. And here he is after 2 years of game time at Real Madrid. He's still only 19 and he has now reached that minimum potential of 140. So worst case scenario, this is what your £20 million investment will get you at some point. He's valued at 70 million quid. He's got great attributes all around, particularly in the physical department, the off the ball work, dribbling, finishing, first touch, technique, passing, and also that flair, composure and anticipation. Everything you would want from a shadow striker, he's been trained in that position and he's got it down to a T now now, and it's definitely turned into some great performances in game. In season 1, he played half a season. Obviously, the assistant didn't register him after January, but 6 goals and 5 assists isn't too bad for a 17-year-old in his first season in Spain. But season 2, he got 10 goals, 10 assists, a 7.32 average match rating, and he's taken to Real Madrid like he's been there his whole career. They've had some great success with Jude Bellingham. Maybe Amari Kellyman is the next player that they need to sign. And before anyone says it, I know there's Joe Bellingham. He is technically the next Bellingham, but for the sake of this video, Amari Kellyman, he does look very similar at full growth. Yes, he's maybe not as good in that central midfield area with the tackling side of things, but if we're talking about going forward, Kellyman has everything going for him, and he clearly has a very bright future. Of course, though, this is only him after a few years of growth at the lowest end of his potential. Let's see how good he can look at his prime. Before we do see him at full growth though, just to let you guys watching know, if you want to see more FM content, not only should you keep watching the FMSCOUT channel, but also I have my own channel linked in the description. If you'd like to check that out, I'd massively appreciate any of the support over there. We do some Football Manager rebuilds and also YouTube shorts about Wonderkids you might not have heard of. So if you like finding gems like Amari Kellyman, make sure you come and check it out. But let's check out Kellyman now at full growth. And he is honestly unreal in game. There is not a weak point to his game. In fact, in terms of attributes under 10, there's corners, there's aggression, there's long throws, there's penalties. Outside of that, this guy is unreal. He's considered a 5-star player at Real Madrid. Like I say, don't trust those star ratings at all. That started off at 1.5 star. Now, supposedly, he's the best player they've ever seen. He has got that 170 current ability now, the maximum he could be. He's got 8 goals in 9 appearances for England, which is insane. Valued at £100 million. Physicals are off the charts. The mental attributes are amazing too. Anticipation, concentration, composure, decision making, off the ball, vision, passing, technique, first touch, finishing, dribbling. This guy's got everything that he could need to be an unreal player in the midfield. And he's even worked on that tackling now. That is sitting at 11. And in game, he has absolutely taken Spain by storm. After you saw him last, he then went on to have an unbelievable season, a 7.5 average match rating. And he's only got better since, including some years where he scored 22 and assisted 15. The most recent season, he scored 20 and 20. One year, he only played 17 games, but in those 17 games, got 12 goals and 12 assists. He is unreal if you give him the chance to grow. Aston Villa is sitting on a gem, and quite often they don't give him that opportunity, and he doesn't end up turning out the way that we can see here. And I think that's a lot of a reason why many of us haven't seen him in game. Of course, he is quite pricey because of that English tax that you will have being a youngster at Villa with a lot of promise, but depending on your save, you might be able to get him cheaper. Keep an eye on his situation and you'll get an unreal player. But let's see how he looks now at the end of his career. And here he is, age 35, still with some great attributes, with 54 England appearances and 26 goals. He was unreal still after you last saw him, even in his old age, continuing to play some amazing football for our team. And I've got to guess, I haven't checked yet, but surely he's won a Ballon d'Or. He's won it twice, age 30 and age 31, 2 years on the bounce. Outside of that, Jude Bellingham seems to be the one winning the awards for us whilst he's been here. But I mean, Amari Kellyman, a player that many of you, like me, probably haven't heard of, has gone on to win 2 Ballon d'Ors in this save. He's also won World Player of the Year on a bunch of occasions. So there you go, Kellyman is definitely worth a scout in your save based on the career that he's had here. Of course, it probably won't go as well for you guys, but if you can sign him early on, give him that chance to grow in the first couple of years, get him playing some football, you will reap the results massively. Make sure you do comment down below what Wonderkid you want to see next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.